Chairman, thank you for being here. And you represent the 2nd District of Arkansas. And before Chairman of the Financial Services Committee, you were Vice Chair, and then you were also the Chairman of the subcommittee that oversees digital asset and financial technology. So you've had a long history of being supportive of this industry. You've really been a champion for us, and we're so grateful that you're here. So I'm going to start kind of with a big picture question, and really it's kind of this idea of like, where do you see, what's your vision for where digital markets regulation will go in the U.S., and how does the stablecoin legislation fit into that vision?
Well, first, it's great to be back at the Blockchain Association. Congratulations to you and this new responsibility. We're so grateful for your public service, and the fact that you have to entertain Dusty Johnson on a regular basis from South Dakota is concerning. You'll have him back this afternoon. We need to have some dirt on Dusty Johnson. You went to college with him, didn't you?
I do.
I think I could get more votes out of him if I had
I have
this.
a prom picture in a yearbook, so
Wow.
I'll dust
yes,
that off.
Yes, I do. Yes. I'll give you you can text me later. That would be great. Well, let's talk about, this is such a perfect time to be together on this topic. So congratulations. The Summit Series is such a wonderful idea to bring all aspects of the community together in Washington. And the timing couldn't be better because as we sit here, you'll hear from Senator Gallego in a bit. The Senate is in the final throes of trying to negotiate a manager's amendment and be able to vote on cloture once again on the Genius Act over in the Senate, which is the process that they've undertaken under Tim Scott, Bill Hagerty's, and Cynthia Lummis's leadership there on stable coins. And in the House this week, we had our first set of hearings in the House Ag Committee and House Financial Services Committee on a market structure bill. And those are important building blocks, and you're right. We've worked on these in pieces since 2018, and then in earnest under Patrick McHenry's leadership as chair in the last Congress, where we actually had votes on the board. So all that advocacy work that you've dedicated so much of your time toward is now in the process of, I think, paying off. So we need you to stick with us over the next few weeks as we try to get all this over the finish line. So my vision here is that you will be able to see develop a distributed ledger-based financial services industry by both incumbent players as well as innovators who are wholly distributed ledger-based or some combination. And that's really what we've seen in fintech. And if you go back 10 years in fintech period, it was, we're going to disrupt traditional finance completely and just eviscerate it. And over the years, that became, a bit more complicated, and it became a sense of collaboration or partnership often along the way, still competitive, but it allowed a lot of fintech innovation, particularly consumer-facing fintech innovation, to find partnerships with, I'd say, traditional financial institutions. And boy, did that benefit both. It allowed the technology to advance. It allowed those traditional financial players to become more competitive. And who gained from that? Consumers, because they had more choice, more convenience, a new way of doing things that maybe is more effective. So when we now look at Web3, we look at distributed ledger and using the benefits of a blockchain to deliver services, I think you're going to see that accelerate, and that's what I'm excited about. But for that to happen, people have to have confidence, and the buzzword of the week, both on Capitol Hill and here, clarity, to be able to fulfill those ambitions. Traditional finance people won't partner, won't custody, won't act as a broker, won't act as a dealer, won't hire you to create an on-ramp or off-ramp. It won't be interoperable. None of that will happen if you don't have clarity, which is why we have to have both of these bills pass the Congress and be signed into law in this Congress. Because we're one to only pass a stablecoin act. That's fantastic. It establishes the United States as the global leader, the world's largest capital market, the world's largest economy and banking market, then establishes the defined, transparent, audited, stable, financial, fully compliant dollar-backed payment stablecoin. That's a big deal. But where would you use it? So it's nice, it's good, we should do it, it's important, but then it doesn't solve any of these other infrastructure or ecosystem-related problems. So I now have a dollar-backed stablecoin, federally authorized in the United States for a bank or a non-bank issuer. Awesome. People have already written great ideas using a blockchain, how to use those payments, how to use that tokenized payment institutionally and at retail. But to get the full benefit of that, you have to have the framework. Where do I custody it? I'm debiting cash at a bank and crediting my stable coin to then go online interoperably, safely, securely, authentically into the blockchain application to perform a task, make a payment, participate in a group activity. You feel confident to go do that? Do you know how you would be compensated? Do you know how to trade? Do you know how to find liquidity? Do you know if it's a commodity or a security? Do you know how to then, debit stable coin credit fiat and do that smoothly and interoperably inside and outside the financial system? No offense, but you don't have any more clarity without this bill than you have today. And we've already seen what today's clarity looks like. It's the Gary Gensler world. I'm not going back to Gary Gensler. But if we don't pass both bills, we are potentially at that whim at any moment. Maybe not in the Trump administration. So we need these permanent law changes. So that's my vision. It's a collaborative vision. It's a rapidly accelerating innovation space led by the United States in the world's most logical place to do it. Best rule of law, democracy, honor. We have a freely convertible currency. You can come in and out of our country, et cetera. All those benefits that I think will make us a global leader.
So that's a good lead into the next kind of question. And we actually had a number of members up on the House side today in a lot of meetings, and I was just talking to a few of them before we started, and they were discussing how positive the meetings were, how welcoming the offices were, and how this was maybe different from even a couple years ago. So do you think the mood on the Hill is changed as far as passing a market structure bill? Do you think there's more momentum towards getting that done this Congress?
Well, we had tremendous success in 2023 and 2024. I mean, we wrote the Fit 21, Fit for Purpose legislation on our first shot at a market structure bill, written in the spring, marked up just probably less than 60 days later, and then passed across the House floor in 2024 with 71 Democrats voting for it. It's a very bipartisan bill. This is before fair shake. No, I just want to be clear here. This policy advance over the last 5 years is due to the people who have advocated for distributed ledger technology and put their name on the line and been brave enough to be sued by Gary Gensler but come testify before Congress. It's a big deal. So it is the technology, the engineering, the advice and counsel that led to that success. Then once you have people on the record, well, then politics can come into play because were you supportive of that or not supportive of it? Then it's just a normal political process. But that pioneering effort was all due to the great work of Kevin McCarthy, Patrick McHenry, my team on the Digital Assets Subcommittee, Allison Bohuniak, and our whole team in the last Congress that led that effort. To me, that's always been most straightforward. Maybe it's because I'm a finance guy. But determining commodity versus security, neither, and how to set out rules of the road for that is transparently in my brain. The tougher bill has been the stablecoin legislation. We marked it up in the House last Congress, but we didn't get it across the House floor. We could not find a landing place with all the constituency groups on designing a dollar-backed payment stablecoin in the last Congress, between the Biden administration and the Hill, I would say. But you see now we actually have a partner in the Senate working on it, and we've marked up our bill in the House, so we've made progress. So I just argue we in the House have done our homework, and we're prepared to move. Where you can be helpful is connecting those dots on what's a stable coin and where would I use it with the market framework bill in the Senate. And when you see Senator Gallego, I'm sure he will echo this, or Senator Haggerty, or Senator Lummis, or our Chairman Tim Scott, or Chairman Bozeman over in the Ag Committee. They all would say, you coming to the Hill and patiently walking people through the use case, sure, they're all going to brag about how hard they worked on the stablecoin bill. Good. But where will you use it and how will you use it without a framework? And just help me communicate the message. You have to do both. I'm not telling people how to do both or when to do both, but that is an action item that I think the blockchain association and team can be so beneficial on. So keep your market education going in the House. Yes, I would say people are more knowledgeable and the offices are more welcoming because they've spent a lot of time in the education mode. But I think continuing to advance from a genius discussion in the Senate on to market structure and doing that member education in the Senate would be terrific.
So I think one of the greatest things that we've seen in the past couple of Congresses is the Ag Committee and the Financial Services Committee working so closely together. And in April, you and Chairman Thompson released an op-ed kind of as a blueprint for what market structure bill should include. Can you expand on kind of the ideas in that op-ed that you guys put out?
So G.T. Thompson of Pennsylvania chairs the House Ag Committee, has been a great partner in this process, as well as Summers Powell from South Dakota, Dusty Johnson. And the Ag Committee Congress does not work well. Most of you think between Republicans and Democrats or between senators and House members. But intra-committee jurisdictional things are among the worst up on Capitol Hill. They're not mean, but they're defensive. I mean, it's a turf battle like you don't know. So from the beginning, Paul and Allison crafted a culture last year, and Patrick McHenry and I and Dusty and GT last Congress had a set of guiding principles, how we would work together. And that has been maintained, and my hat's off to the staff of the Ag Committee and the staff of the Financial Services Committee for that good work. The last time they did it was 15 years ago when they were forced in the crisis of 2008 to come together to write the swaps legislation, which is a jointly referred activity between the commodity and securities markets. So GT and I set out our guiding principles again. First, from Fit for Purpose 2021, great bill, 71 Democratic votes, overwhelming Republican support. Actually support from the Biden administration, if you recall, those of you who, there was a statement of administration policy that instead of a veto, that's called a veto notice up in our world, there was no veto notice. It said we look forward to working with it. The signature on it appeared to not be an auto pen, so I'm very pleased with that. That's a joke. You can laugh. It's okay. No one's going to get hurt. So we had that working relationship continue. So what is it? How do we take FIT and make it better? How do we take FIT and get the comments we got from the entire venture ecosystem and the digital ecosystem and say, that was a good idea, but if I were thinking about it, I'd do it like this. And then finally, of course, because it's the Trump administration and not the Biden administration, we have more people willing to give us technical assistance. So my hat's off to Commissioner Peirce at the SEC. You all know Hester to be a champion for what we're trying to do here. And so the SEC, the CFTC, some in the administration help provide, like in the bank regulators, et cetera, some really needed technical assistance. So we believe it's less clunky, to use a really technical legal term, meaning it's more streamlined, the definitions are better, and I think it builds on FIT. And so GT and I said that we wanted to make it where it was more seamless to be a commodity or security, know if you could be a dealer, and then make sure that we tended to the important things around compliance and AML and custody. So I think we found a good landing spot.
Well, and we're running. Our time is running out. time moves fast when you're having fun. But do you have kind of a just timeline for the next few weeks on moving legislation? I know you guys have some, there's markup planned, and any kind of timing update would be great.
Well, I can't control, 535 people and their schedules and all their other anxieties that come with being an elected official in Congress. But I've said since January, and I started out on a positive note with David Sachs, President Trump's artificial intelligence and crypto advisor, John Bozeman, G.T. Thompson, Tim Scott, and I had a press conference together right after the beginning of the new year and said we're committed to stablecoin legislation and market framework legislation for digital assets in this Congress. And I've been urging my colleagues, if we cooperate with each other, we could do this before the August recess. I'm fully aware, and all the reporters here who cover it and all the cynics who believe in traditional Washington know it's tough because we have recess periods, we have budget reconciliation, we have appropriations, we have a farm bill. We have a lot of work we have to do. I got it. I know that. I've been here plenty of time. I know about that. But if we put our heads to it, we could do that. So my answer to your question is, you're going to see us proceed in the House to hold hearings, mark these bills up, and find floor time to talk to our colleagues about how many bipartisan votes that we can get. We're very sensitive to the politics of it in this particular Congress. And we're just working hand in glove with Senator Scott and Senator Bozeman in the Senate on how they can play a role in that and work with us collaboratively on that. But I don't want to prejudice, how that may take place. Just know that we're on a bicameral basis talking about it every day, maybe even 3 hours earlier today. So we're at it.
That's great. So I know we got to get you to a vote soon here, but I just want to kind of end on a personal note. And what is your motivation? What motivates you most about your role in shaping the digital asset future of the U.S.? What's kind of your driving force in this space?
Well, it's interesting. I get this question a lot, and it's a great rumination question for a podcast, But I was drawn to distributed ledger technology and the programmability of it, not something like not being an early reader of the Bitcoin white paper. In other words, what attracted me was not Bitcoin per se, but it was the immediate analysis I made on the accuracy, the costs that could be eliminated, the disintermediation of those agency costs or time involved in completing a transaction, the 7-day-a-week aspect of it, the more independent view of it if you wanted to be independent of a intermediary. But if you don't have to. This is sort of the beauty of it. And in fit, and in even more so in clarity, we institutionalize that. If we have a self-custody regime there, we say clearly if you're a software developer or a protocol producer, you're not, a dealer, you're not a broker. But we also have the keen rules for intermediation of the process for people who want to use a professional custodian and want to debit that account and credit activity or participate in a closed blockchain connected with an accounts receivable or a payable network with their bank and with their vendors. I mean, the beauty of it is the flexibility of it and the programmability of it. And my whole career, for 4 decades, I've been a disruptor in technology in every, job I had, except for my political appointments. I've always been looking to wring cost out of the system, increase accuracy, reduce waste, and the like. And I view distributed ledger as an ideal operating system around which to write applications to achieve that. So I couldn't be more excited about the future I think developers have in America in this space to solve problems for folks. So it's exciting. And I'm fired up to be a tiny part of this effort.
That's great. Well, I see the clock has run down on us, and
Boom.
we do want to get you back. Although I think we're just cutting into Dusty's time, so.
Oh, this is
yeah,
great.
Yeah, you
This
know,
is
we can
my
we
dream.
can make
This is
we
my
can make
dream.
him wait.
You know,
but-
it's very diverse out in South Dakota. You've told people about that?
well, it depends on
It's
what you
very
call
di-
diverse.
Well, they have 12 different kinds of Lutherans out there. That's what I
Probably
heard.
true. Yes, that is very true.
Thank you all for having me.
Yes.
Thanks for the great advocacy. Please keep it up over the next few weeks. Thanks very much.